Hi-ho there, folks. Hope everyone's well and life is treating you well. I've had a rough couple of weeks. I had some joint pain. I had some surgery back in 2010 on my knee due to joint pain, and this is actually worse than the pain I had back then. The long and the short of it is I'm going to have to get some new knees, so that's fun. As a result, it's been a rough couple of weeks. They also started me up on a pain control regimen, which is a euphemistic way of saying that they've started me on a regular dosage of opiates. So that makes my brain a little foggier than it normally is. It makes me a lot sleepier than I normally am. This is to make sure that I don't scream in pain all the time after I've been walking for more than 10 feet. They're doing that, and there's a whole process involved to getting me to the point where they can do the knee surgery. They are not at that point yet. So I'll be on this for a while, and I'm just sort of adjusting to it. That's all to explain why there isn't a more substantive episode today. I had planned on doing Hollow World, but honestly, while I'm on the drug, half the time I can't read because I'll fall asleep. I've been told that I will get past the sort of negative side effects you get. You build up a tolerance, you get used to it in your system, and it doesn't bother you as much, but I'm not there yet. So, and I have read some of the Hollow World stuff, and I am liking what I'm reading, actually. But I do have a thought that I wanted to talk about. One of the things I do when my brain is just sort of fuzzy, right, is, fuzzier than my head normally is. And, of course, fuzzier than my head, is on the outside, too. I have lots of hair. You may have figured that out. Anyways, the drugs. Squirrel. No. The thing that I was thinking about was inspired by the fact that I've been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering in the online form of the program Magic Duels. It's a free program, so if you ever get a hankering to go play Magic and you don't want to go hang out at a game store or go into the bottomless pit of money that you could spend on Magic, it's a fun way to go. And Magic Duels also has, you can buy packs and such through it as well. And you can play against normal humans, or you can play against AI. And there's a storyline mode. And the storyline mode sort of reminded me of something. Why hasn't Wizards of the Coast done a Magic the Gathering D&D setting? The reason I ask is going through the storyline missions. Now, when the game launched, 20 years ago, something like that, it didn't really have a story, right? When I was sitting in early days of college, playing it in the cafeteria, there wasn't much of a story to it at that point. Arabian Nights was fairly new. It featured stuff from Arabian legends and such. And there were a couple of named figures that they really hadn't developed yet, like Urza and things like that. As time has progressed, they've incorporated more and more story into the game. Enough that there is actually lore and things that you can learn about the worlds that they're describing. And the world they're describing is actually pretty interesting. It's very Planescape-esque. The mages that the planeswalkers that are mages that have developed a power beyond normal mages, allow them to step between worlds, and then they can pull the magic from their own home planes or from the other planes that they gather, that they travel to battle across reality. They can call on allies, they can cast spells and things like that. And that's pretty cool, actually. It's very Planescape-esque in a lot of ways. They've got some really interesting, worlds. Theros, which is very Greek myth-inspired, and I kind of like that. There's Ravnica, which is sort of a city world run by magical guilds, and they've been running it for 10,000 years. So, a lot of fascinating stuff there. You've got Innistrad, which is sort of their Ravenloft-esque kind of setting, I guess. It's got more of a horror feel to it. And you've got Zendikar, which is sort of a plane where an ancient evil was imprisoned, basically. And it's a bunch of interesting little settings that there's dimensional travel between them. Obviously, planeswalkers are the rock stars, but it wouldn't take a whole lot of imagination to change planeswalkers from just mages to mages and anybody else who's got that particular feature to them. Or the planeswalking mages can bring people with them. They obviously can call on their allies. And it wouldn't take a lot to turn that into a fantasy setting. If not for D&D, you could do it in Savage Worlds. Fate might be interesting. Because the spell cards are very specific named effects. Having them as aspects that you could name out wouldn't go amiss either. So there's that. And it's just an interesting idea that you could incorporate that. I like the notion of card-based games having stories. I kind of want, at some point, somebody to try a good card-based RPG system. I've talked about it before, and I've heard a few that were bandied about. I haven't seen any of them. The closest I ever saw was Everway, which was also by Wizards of the Coast, actually. And it was more of a diceless game where the cards were there to help guide you create your character. I think that it might be interesting to have a game where you construct your deck for what your characters can do in combat, and then as the game plays out, you play out the cards for specific effects. I don't know, it might be too limiting, though. The die roll is fairly universal for its ability to go, okay, I don't know, roll a d20. If you get above this, you succeed, or you don't. Whereas a card usually has a specific effect described on it. It was fascinating to me to think about. And Magic the Gathering sort of reminded me of that. And the fact that the Magic the Gathering storyline has a lot of really interesting, fodder for doing a good interdimensional campaign setting, which Planescape did to a sort of a similar thing, I guess. Spelljammer did, and there's something about, this would fit into that gonzo setting idea where you can just sort of pull things from all over the place, and they fit because the setting premise is that they fit. It's it's something to think about anyway. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and go to bed because drugs. Subscribe, like, share with all the people, and go to the Patreon. Feel up to it. I could certainly use the help. And if not, that's fine. I'm going to keep making these anyway because, I'm a crazy person and I've been doing it for this long. Might as well keep doing it, right? And I'll be nice and put something in the title describing what this is about for my friends who have been watching and complained that I did not put enough of a description in the subject line to explain what the episode was about. So, I am listening. And if you made it all the way through, you know that now. Anyway, have a good evening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.